December 26th, 2013, day after Christmas. I've had a few requests for updates on my father's 40-foot steamboat project. It now officially has a name, Persistence. It's a pretty fitting name, I think. And here's some updates. As you can see, the hull's been painted. There's windows in the doors and the sides of the pilot house there. Go further forward. See the boiler here, the York/Worthington boiler, water tube. Father put his first coat of silver paint on it just to make it a little more visible in the gloomy bowels of the ship. It's got all the casing on it now. Some hasty plumbing just to fire it up in the driveway. We have an economizer built into it now, all out of Schedule 80. It's all 3/4 inch National Pipe Standard fittings. You can see the soot blowers here and some of the steam line for the burner, and also the two shrouds for the burner. They go in at an angle through the front of or burners rather, through the front of the boiler here. The soot blowers will go in either hole there and here, and they'll be able to pivot. They have a bunch of holes drilled down the pipes and be able to pivot them and clean soot out of the boiler without having to lance quite as often, hopefully. You can see some of the fittings on the boiler. She's coming along. I use two steam atomizing burners. And see how that works, and then depending on how it works, we keep over or go with pressure atomizing. In the future, we'll see, or vaporizing even. We'd like to use really old vegetable oil or wood. Probably start up on wood and then switch over to the ancient vegetable oil. And we've got about, I think, 48 square feet of heating surface in the economizer, so in total the boiler's got about 148 square feet of heating surface now. You can see we've done, my father built a condenser, and I believe it's 10 tubes, 1 inch diameter, 10 feet long, so you can have quite a bit of cooling surface. With condensers, it's always better or easier to have too much cooling surface and fix that than it is to fix too little cooling surface. You can just mask off tubes, or we can remove tubes if it's too much, whereas adding tubes could be a bit of a hassle. You can see it designed to, the exhaust will go in at the aft end, and then condensate will come out here at the forward end. It's designed to be lowest point, so there shouldn't be any real puddling of condensate in the boat. Here's another view from the port side. You can see the three center removable plywood covers are on. It's been nearly 2 years exactly since the last video was taken. You can see all the windows are in the aft cabin. I'll show you more detail of that once I get up there. Go ahead. Yeah. Looking over the bows like before, you can see we actually have the deck painted now and deck fittings welded on. The overhead, the roof has been completed. It's a 1/2-inch plywood with a special fabric and like fiberglass-like fabric and coating over it to seal out the elements. Don't need to cover it with a tarp anymore. Well, Dad has built a removable section about 10 feet long and about 8 or 10 feet wide that we'll have to cut through the plywood, but the framing is bolted in, and we'll remove that section to drop the machinery in, mainly the main engine and boiler, using a crane service up here. Like I said before, we have windows in now and the hatches, and then the cabin, the pilot house, are plexiglass, I believe, or maybe they're Lexan. I think plexiglass because it's less resistant, or it's more resistant to scratching. You can see some of the woodwork my father's done here in the pilot house. An engine room telegraph of, I think it's Korean origins. We'll have to make a new faceplate for it. You got a nice little compass there, and got a flip down foot plate with nice fittings from some fancy cabin cruiser. Got seats here, they slide out, so there's more seating area for people with larger posteriors. They all slide out here. Let's see down in the cuddy. Not much work has been done in there. This hatch opens here. The head will be down kind of where the vacuum is. You can see this casing is being built to go over the boiler. Have a stove, and a sink, and a mini fridge over on the starboard side there with storage for dishes and whatnot. On this side we'll have like a propane tank here probably for the stove, maybe gasoline storage for the emergency generator, whatnot. A stack will come out of the casing right about here and up through. You can see the engine room telegraph gong. Those engine room telegraphs didn't have a built-in bell system, so my father improvised with the gong that he had. You see the nice railing he's set up for the engine room with matching ladders on port and starboard side. You see the windows in the aft cabin here, the saloon or salon, and they're removable. This will be paneled like stated before. You can undog the windows and they'll slide down behind the paneling, and they'll have like a leather strap or something so you can pull them up. These 3 windows in the aft part of the cabin are not removable, but those frames were all made out of wood and steam bent. It took my dad quite a bit of time to make that. So, those time-consuming projects, the little things that don't think are going to take very long, but take ages to do. I don't know if I showed the detail steering quadrant last go around. can see here, underneath the deck here, we got an arm here that goes to the forward rudder. So there's a rudder, main rudder that's behind the propeller, and then a small rudder that's forward of the propeller. You can see the gland for it there. Supposedly it'll help the turning quite a bit. We'll see. You can see another steering wheel there, or helm. There's a steering station right there in front of the starboard engine room ladder. That'll be so the engineer can steer in a pinch, in an emergency, or if the helmsman needs to make a head call. So I'm standing about where the front of the boiler would be, or rather the aft face of the boiler would be, the firebox door. We have some duplex pumps and a simplex pump for general service pumps. He's wanting this one to be a fuel pump, vacuum pump or feed pump, and a bilge, fire, and repelling borders pump. Have the genset there. You have the exhaust going to the condenser there. All these pumps and the genset will exhaust into the condenser, and also have an alternative routing the exhaust over the side when we're running in fresh water. You have a stainless steel hot well here. I forget how many gallons it is. And then we have a 3200 continuous, or 4000 kW, or rather 4 kW or 3.2 kW generator with 4 110 volt outlets and 1 220 volt outlet, so we can weld and do what we need to do, rather than being a slave to shore power. You can see forward, I got a couple random tanks, fuel or water tanks, undetermined what we want to do with them yet. I'm standing here where the head will be. You can see that hatch I opened earlier right here. There'll be a gangway down to the head. Or you can probably scoot through here under the pilot house deck into the living quarters, to and fro if you were in here and needed to make a head call. You can see the double roller chain for the steering. You got chain for the engine room telegraph. Gangway for the pilot house. Got the port lights, and they can be hung up overhead. There'll be a chain locker forward. Benches or racks, really, beds with fuel or water tanks underneath them on either side. So we have some strip lighting, or something kind of like Christmas lights, and we set them up under the decks in the engine room and in the cuddy, just to see what it would look like with some really cheap low power LED lights. And it really, with the white paint and everything, it really makes it nice and bright. It'll be really nice. Very, very clear. It's nice having white bilges where you can see things, especially when you drop things in the bilge. Samson post. temporary ladder. So the propeller is at the prop shop, the one you saw last time. It's being repaired and cleaned up and hopefully repitched to a coarser pitch. We'll need at least 48-inch pitch, I think, to get a decent amount of speed out of her. This is a secondary rudder here. As you can see, it's forward of where the propeller will be. This was on the hull when we got it. Like I said before, supposedly it'll help reduce the turning radius of this beast. We shall see, and make her more maneuverable, especially in backing. That's always really important, having maneuverability when backing up, especially when you have a gigantic slow turning prop. Hopefully it'll work out. Another view of the condenser. This is a set of blocks that we use to raise the machinery or the pumps and the genset in. You can see there we have a new cutlass bearing for her. And my father built making a new stainless steel rudder that'll be about an 1/8-inch plate, and it'll be probably 200-300 pounds lighter than the original rudder that was like solid 1/2-inch plate and with a solid rod or shaft going down through it rather than a hollow one. It was quite the beast. That'll reduce quite a bit of weight aft. You can see cleats and the bollards. Another view of the windows. You know, finished painting still has to be done. You know, you think you're done and then, or you know, cut some more or weld some more and have to repaint it. So, and then you think you're done again and have to do the same again. So we got a new mill. It's a 9x42 Bridgeport as opposed to our 7x32 jet. It's a bit bigger, it's a lot nicer. We have a digital readout. It's under the cover right there. It's a lot better equipped. Much nicer mill. It's one of the projects I've been working on. It's a balanced slide valve for the low pressure on the Dodge compound. I have yet to cut the grooves in it. I'm going to cut groove on each of these rings for a U-cup seal, and then it'll seal the back balance ring, I guess you could call it. This will slide against the inside of the valve cover, and then this, or steam chest cover rather, and then this slides on the regular valve face. And it'll be spring loaded, so it shoves against the cover. It'll have some room for movement there. I also made one for the high pressure. That's the first priority, most important one. That one's put away at the moment. I've also made the a aluminium low pressure piston for the Dodge compound. You can see the hollow steel or cast iron piston here, and the aluminum one. The steel one weighed 30 pounds more than the high pressure piston. The steel low pressure piston weighed 30 pounds more than the high pressure piston. Whereas now this aluminum high pressure piston that's hollow only weighs 5 pounds more than the steel high pressure piston. What we've been doing so far, here's a mechanical lubricator for the engine. And that's about it. That is our update. We'll be getting the machinery in this winter, or the bulk of the machinery in this winter, and be steaming in the driveway maybe later this winter or spring, and we shall go from there. Happy steaming, everyone. Hope you enjoy the video.